part 4. So for the singletons, I've got all my factors, singletons, managers, and there's my creature spawner is one, and then there's my movement for all creatures is also a singleton. So this is just a centipede movement, and takes in those pointers and then assigns the correct movement for them. And so all my singletons are set up like this. You have p-instance, this is a wave manager, and then if it's null, you create a new one, and then you have your functions to be public, and they're defined in the CPP file, and then you have your functions, your static public functions that can be called from anywhere. And so we have my user manager is the same way, and then sound manager, play sounds, and then the terminate, you have delete the p-instance, set it equal to 0, and then that's called through the scene termination. And then same with the mushroom factory. And yeah. And so then we already went over observer explosions. I already talked about how I couldn't get the factory, unfortunately, to create a pool. But all my, I call them effects, are spawned through the singleton factory. And so you have explosion, regeneration, then player explosion. And so for my blaster, you've already seen it has a factory. Creates a new one, and then in the initializer it passes through an enum control type, and so if it's the control type is AI, it's going to be an AI controller, and if it's keyboard, it will be a keyboard controller. And so that's done though through the user manager. So if you have initialize the attractor mode, and so I have a base class of user, and then I have a real and a user AI, and so the user AI has, so all users have a player, blaster, and so then the user AI is going to create blaster factory with control type AI, and then when it switches over to real or to player, it's going to create one with keyboard as well. And then you've already seen my bullet from the factory. Alright, on to the here's my bullet, and then here's the factory. Set up as a singleton, links the player, creates it, has an object pool, recycles, and deletes all the bullets. And then my bullet is initiated and flies, and then when it's on collision, it'll notify player and get destroyed. Alright, so a centipede is subclass from my base centipede. And so that has all the variables. And so my body centipede and then the head centipede. It's all from the base centipede. And then so and then each one has factory, creates the head, the solo head, and the body. And initializes each one and recycles it. And so using a state pattern, so we have the base centipede state, and then it has you're going to get the next state, and it's going to return the movement, the rotation, and it also returns a mushroom function, depending on if it's moving left or right, which way it like kind of rounds the position. So if it's moving right, it's going to create a mushroom that's more right, so it'll split properly. And so instantiate, this is the state machine, so you instantiate them all and set the correct mushroom grid to it. And so if we just take a look at moving left and down and turning down to left, you'll see that it's the update is only because it's moving left and down. All I have to do is check the left edge of the screen and check the mushroom to the left instead of, and then turning down to left. All you have to do is once again check if there's a mushroom coming up on the left, and or not, you can just go. And so the state, how it actually changes, it's in the head centipede and it's update. And so all it does is a frame counter counts it, and then it sends its state to the next centipede, or the next centipede by if there is one, and then all it does is it calls the get next state and does the checks it needs for that particular state. So if it's moving left and down, only checks to the left, and then that state now is equal to the next state, what it needs to do. Then it gets its movement, gets the rotation if it needs it, and then gets on its merry way. And so all it does from the head to the body is it has a receive state, and so then the body will then receive its state. Here you go. Receive its state, and then it gets the movement, gets the rotation going. So here's the received state, and then before it puts that state, it sends that to the next body, which then receives it, and then it keeps on propagating down the chain if there is a next. So the head only decides the next logical move, body just is a follower, and yeah, so the movement collections. So you saw the states in the state machine were only created once because they're all static, and then the movements is a singleton, and they're all hard-coded in here, and then all you do is pass in that translation and rotation pointer. And yeah, and then the splitting happens on collisions, and so it's gonna I couldn't get it to link up, so what I did was I know it's more inefficient, if that's a word, more inefficient. Basically it creates a new centipede. Creates a new centipede based on where it's split and where it's at, and then deletes all the bodies behind it. I did that because I couldn't get it to link properly, because I think the bodies would update while the head was trying to link, and then there's always some weird separation going on. And so I know this is not as efficient, although with the recycling pool and object pool. So yeah. So then we'll go on to the mushrooms. Mushrooms are derived from a mushroom base, and I chose this because I thought I'd have 3. I could easily add more, so like a blocking one if I implemented the high scores and everything, and then it can easily check. The centipede or any other creature can easily check for what type, so if it's poisoned or if it's regular or if it needs to create a poisoned. It's created through the factory, and yeah. And then my mushroom field, regenerates as you saw, and so it randomizes the field, different creation of mushrooms, and so for when it does the regeneration, it's going to add to a sorted list, and here it is based on position, and then it's in that list, and then on regeneration it'll go through that list until there are no more and they're all regenerated, and then if the mushroom gets destroyed, it's also removed from the list. So if it gets destroyed, then it doesn't get repaired. That's the mushroom field, and that's the end of this part.